Do we look at the camera or look at you?
Well, you're live now, Brian, so you can look
Oh, fantastic.
Anyway, welcome to the Day 3 live show from the Royal Caribbean 600. And I'm delighted to say that we have from ZOULOU, Thomas Le Breton, the tactician, and the navigator from ARGO-BRIAN Thompson. So welcome to the show. This is all very chilled out. It gives people the opportunity to sort of listen in on, you know, your conversation after a race. And I know a lot of people are very interested in that. And yeah, there's plenty watching right now. So first of all, I'm going to ask you a question that you didn't know I was going to ask you. How well do you know each other? I'll ask Thomas first. How well do you know Brian?
I think we sailed together at the beginning of the MOD story with Oman Sail.
Oh, really?
Maybe 10 years ago, at least.
Okay. When the mods first came out, because the mods have been around longer than 10 years, but yeah.
Yeah, they were launched 2011. But I think we sailed together in 2012
Yes.
on Oman Sail,
Okay.
which ironically is now Argo.
Was that with Sydney Gavinier then, or was Sydney?
Sydney was Skippy then, yes.
Yeah, who's been on Limosa recently, hasn't he? The famous project.
Once you've sailed on one,
yeah.
you can sail on any of them.
Okay, so let's get straight to the race. So yesterday you both came in after an amazing race. We did a few interviews dockside, but we want to dive a little bit deeper into that. And first of all, we've got to ask Thomas about your start. So for those that there is a video online you can watch. ZOULOU started on port and cleared the fleet. Thomas, when did you talk about or decide that's what you were going to do?
We checked the line and it was a bit better to start at the pin, talking about angle. So the plan was to start on port. We are not sure to cross the fleet, but we are a bit surprised to see that everybody was starting on starboard. But we stick to the A plan and we did it. Well, and finally we passed. So it was good.
Okay, so for anybody who's thinking of trying this at home, what was the A plan and what was the B plan?
A plan was to start on port, and if the fleet was early, we probably would have passed behind on port, but at the committee boat. No. So
okay, and
you need to be a bit lucky also.
yeah, and what was the strategy behind that? Why did you decide to do that stuff?
Well, just to minimize the number of tacks after, because we had a long starboard, and the goal was just to do one less tack than the other. No, it's okay. It works.
It did work,
Well,
didn't it?
well.
Yeah. Brian, this is. I better be careful what I say here. I don't think you got as good a start on Argo.
I could say that ZOULOU had a magnificent start, very good, and we had a bad start. It's funny because on the 360 race, the Antigua 360, which was on Friday around the island, both of us actually, we both started on port, and we had an actual sort of nightmare start where we had to duck some boats, and then one jibed right in front of us on as we were ducking them. They just jibed in front of us, and that was really quite scary. So our thinking was to do a safe starboard tack for this time, and the irony is that another boat jibed, a 50-footer jibed exactly in front of us as we were getting ready to do our safe starboard start. No, we could tell port was favoured, and in fact, yeah, the irony is that tacking on port would have been much safer for us. But we got held up by the other boat, and then we were quite late at the start. But funnily enough, once we got onto the beach and tacked over, we ended up very, very close to ZOULOU. So it was, in the end, quite even.
Yeah, wonderful. We had a chat. We're in the race office right now, by the way. We're not on a film set, but we had a little chat with the race office here. We had Judge Rinder here, and I said, you know, what questions do you want to ask Thomas and Brian about? And one of the subjects which Stuart Lawrence asked about was sleep. So, Thomas, for the race that you've just done, let's just do that. How much sleep and when?
Not much for sure. How much I don't know, but we decided to. Eric was off watch, and we had 3 pairs. On those pairs, they were just organizing themselves. So just we have 2 trimmers, for example, 2 head, 2 people in charge of the speed and everything. Okay. And we managed to. The goal was to keep at least one of this one on deck. Okay. So these 3 groups, they were organizing. They did by themselves. Yeah. And,
so you had 3 groups, but how you actually did a watch system was a little bit loose?
Yeah, it was loose, yes. And they did, you sleep when you can.
And I'm going to ask, sort of in that question as well, is how often are you changing the helm, the driver?
It was a bit loose also. Okay. Eric was driving quite a lot, and when he was tired, we changed, and it was nothing special compared to a Transat. Maybe we try to be more regular, consistent, and no, this time it was loose. Yeah. Okay. It was a bit easier to sleep maybe on the long port to Guadeloupe, so that's where we slept a bit.
Okay. Brian, same question on Argo sleep. How much and when?
Well, very similar to what Thomas was saying, except we were 8 on board, and so we had
one more than Zulu.
Yes. Yeah. So therefore, you could have 4 pairs, and then so each pair decided between themselves when they would go to sleep. So we had 4 drivers and 2 trimmers and
4 drivers, 2
trimmers and 2 bow people, and that kind of matched up quite well. And sleeping wise, I think I had maybe an hour at the beginning of the reach down to, or the almost beat down to Barbuda. Basse-Terre on Guadeloupe, and then maybe another half an hour sitting in the chair on the beat up to Desirade after you'd gone round Guadeloupe. So probably an hour and a half sleep on the race.
And this race, I believe you were pretty close to a beat down to Guadeloupe from St. Bart's. The breeze was definitely forward, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, there's more right than it normally is. So normally it can be quite a fast reach when the wind's out of 75 or something, but it was much further right. And so we're almost on the wind. And it was quite interesting. You guys went quite low, and we thought you'd go below Montserrat, and that's something we've been thinking about for days. Okay. Should you go below Montserrat? Because later on the wind lifted.
Yeah. But you were thinking about it?
No. We were waiting for a lift, so knowing that we accelerate.
At least one multi-hull did go west.
Yes, maybe no limits.
I don't know.
Mark Emo? Yeah, it did go. Right. But I was looking back at the previous races, and only about 5-6 boats ever have gone to leeward, and they actually have not. They've done okay to leeward, but then they have to come. Then they have to come up harder to Guadeloupe. Okay. So overall, we sort of stuck to our guns of trying to stay on the run line, and not. There was one bit where we after the convergence zone of Antigua, as you go through it, the wind heads a lot, and we had to go hard on the wind and still weren't laying Montserrat. Okay. And then we got lifted up. Yeah. So that was a tricky bit of the course. Yeah. And not as fast as normal.
Okay. Yeah. I think last night Jason Carroll commented that normally that's 4 hours and it was 7 or something.
Yes, because you're often doing 30 knots down that section.
And you and Argo missed the record by 3 hours. Is that possibly one of the reasons?
Well, the wind was probably a little bit weaker than normal, and it was definitely, that leg was much slower.
Okay.
But overall, the wind was 2 or 3 knots slower than it was when we got the record.
Yeah. And then another subject which we think is interesting, Thomas, is the physical side of doing a race like this, where it's a 600-mile race. It's taking you roughly 35 hours. How physically demanding is a race like the Caribbean 600?
Yeah, it's quite hard, but knowing that you have only one night at sea, it's a kind of sprint, and you can push quite hard. But yes, especially at 7 on board, you need, for each maneuver, everybody needs to be here, and we try to full all the pedestal, and it's quite physical, yes. Yeah.
Brian?
Yeah, I think it is, because there's a lot of corners to do, and because it's such a close race between the 3 mods, you're trimming the sails constantly, so you're basically grinding for a long time. While something like the transatlantic race, you have the Jenica up and the J2 in the main, and really the helmsperson's doing all the work, and the trimmers are just there ready to ease or doing slight changes. But here we're grinding the J1 in and out, changing the rig cant, putting the board up and down, foil up and down. So even though the boat's going in a straight line, you're doing quite a lot of grinding all the time. So,
and I'm interested, as you say, it's very physically active. It's happening all the time for all the crew. You've got to be putting calories in, otherwise you're gonna burn out. What are you guys eating on board, Thomas?
We had some snacks and wrap and lots of things, but easy to eat because nobody had time to. Maybe Loic had a few coffees, but nobody had cooked something. So everything was ready. So sandwiches
and it's all energy. It's all calories.
Yes.
Yeah. How about an Argo?
well, everyone brought 3 freeze-dried meals for the race, and I think I was the only one to have even one. So I had a porridge on the first morning after Guadeloupe when the wind went a little bit lighter.
Both the teams in Barbies having a full English breakfast before you left.
Yes, and then Westy on our team, he went and got iced coffees and filled up our sort of insulated mugs, and that lasted a long time.
Caffeine.
Yes, that was good. But normally people make a lot of tea and coffee. That was probably 2 got made the whole race because it was so intense, and people were eating like Thomas was saying. We had sandwiches as well and some energy bars, but we're definitely in massive calorie deficit in the race. I mean, we probably had 1,000 calories and spent 8,000.
Okay. And when you got in, I know you went for a nice dinner, Thomas. I can't remember which restaurant it was, but it was close by. I know Argo did as well.
The same restaurant.
Yeah.
Oh, you were in the same restaurant.
Yeah.
Well,
All together.
Let's give it a fun. Which restaurant was it?
A French one.
The French one.
called Calibres.
All right. So main course. What did you have, Thomas?
Good question. Lamb chunk.
Lamb shank. Okay.
I went all out. Lobster risotto.
Did you now?
With ceviche to start, but
okay.
no room for dessert. We're all ready for bed.
It shrinks, doesn't it? And you're tired. Okay.
Yeah. And we were waiting. We wanted to go and see Limosa Inn as well.
Of course. Yeah. Of course. Let's talk about schools. I understand there was some cloud activity at Les Desiderades that had a different effect on Zoulou to Argo. So could we just focus in on that area if you could remember it? Les Desiradas as you're exiting the Guadeloupe into the open Atlantic. Just explain what happened there and how it affected Zulu.
Yeah, just after La Désirade, Argo managed to take an advantage, and finally they wait us under a cloud, a big cloud with rain. I think it's mostly you need to be lucky, and we came back with a wind, and they were completely stuck under the cloud, I guess.
Yeah, it was just a barrier as when we ran the island. It was absolutely torrential rain, no wind, and weirdly the seas were very bad there, weren't they?
Yeah.
So that just wouldn't allow us to get going. I think they were maybe there's a current there, and it's always bouncing off the rocks, and we were really quite
What
slow there.
differential are you talking about? I mean, how come?
About 20 knots, 25 knots different.
Wow.
Sure.
We were doing, but maybe 10 knots maximum.
Okay.
And I guess you had a little bit of rain, but basically
Yeah,
got
we had
around.
a bit of rain, but it was quite strong. We were not sure how windy it was under the cloud, but we came back with a wind at over 30 knots probably.
Right.
And,
Okay. So you're the hunter then. You're the game.
yeah,
It's
was a new
incredible. We might have had a 5-mile lead, and then in 10 minutes
Yeah.
or 15 minutes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
gone, and we were, I don't know, 500 meters apart.
Mm.
And
Okay.
so it was the race restarted at the lee of Guadeloupe. Again, we were 500 meters apart, and then it restarted again at
Right. So you done
Desirade.
over 400 miles and in 500 meters apart.
yeah,
We had
Something
few.
like that.
yeah, made it exciting.
Yeah. And the next bit that I want to focus on after having a chat with particularly Eric actually last night, and also Jason, was the leg from Barbuda to Redonda. So we'll switch this round the other way this time and speak to Brian first. So Jason on Argo said that was scary quick. Zulu right up on your backside, hurtling down, nearly touching 40 knots. What do you say to that?
I think that's probably one of the scariest legs on a mod. I don't think there's any way we could have done that in a standard mod. I think the foils allowed the boat to be handleable with full main and J1. And you can adjust the angle of the foil and the rudder to keep the boat from nosediving. Because the full main, say we're 115 true or something, was the main's pushing the bow in, so we managed to keep that. And the guys were saying that we were actually completely flying at times. So the leeward hull's out of the water, the main hull's out of the water. You're doing 38 knots over these waves, and the waves picked up as you got away from the lee of Barbuda.
Okay.
And then we got in. There was squall to our left. In fact, we were right under the rain, and it got up to say 22 knots of wind, and we really would have been definitely safer and definitely faster with a reef, but we didn't really want to reef with Zulu behind us. We didn't think you'd reefed,
Yeah,
but that
it was
turned out to be wrong.
finally not the good call, I think, because we were super fast with the reef for a few minutes, but the VMG was not good because the wind dropped after, and we were too high, and we had to deploy the Juniker after, so it was not the good call. But at least we have seen that it was faster.
Yeah, for a long leg, it would have been
It was
better.
and safer for sure.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, you know, whether to reef or not to reef, that could have been a winning move. It could have been a move that made you slow
Yeah.
and not pass.
Yeah, no, it didn't feel very good with the full main at times.
Okay.
We were just going
Okay.
so fast, and if the bow had gone in, it would have been
Yeah.
very, very messy. But we kind of thought we didn't really know what was going to happen. We were going to go through the lee of Antigua again, get a lift and a header, which is what always happened there. So
Okay.
we thought, and light air, so we thought we'd stick with it with the full main.
Yeah.
But then it'll all change at Redonda again.
Okay. Now, I'm going to try and get somebody in remotely here, so just carry on chatting about lobster and lamb shank or reef or no reef, and I'll try and get somebody in. But just keep talking, guys.
Are we still live?
Yeah, it's still live.
Oh, very good. Very good. We've got to entertain the crowds here, Thomas.
Not sure it's my best quality, but
We'll do our best. Well, Loic would be the best.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Keep talking.
Yeah. Yeah, Redonda was very tricky with the light air behind.
You get caught on the windward side, no?
Yeah, we tacked twice, I think.
Yeah.
And then we were going downwind on starboard with the rig the wrong way.
Well, during this time, we were going backward.
Backwards. We went backwards too because the wind suddenly the new wind came, and then we're going backwards stuck.
Yeah, we have done the same.
Yeah. But I've been there a lot around Redonda, and that was the worst, the most difficult
Yeah,
by a lot.
because the wind was more right, maybe, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we came into Redonda, it was blowing 20 knots, and when we came out, it was
Nothing.
10.
10,
It's very odd.
We might get some horrible echo here. Can you hear us, Ned?
Oh, we don't have
cool.
Ned.
Can you hear us, Ned?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, Ned.
How are you, both? Congratulations. That was quite the race.
Thank you. Congratulations to you for baby girl.
I'm obviously the most tired one here, right?
Yeah. Least sleep.
And it's only the beginning.
That's cool to watch.
Did you watch that start, Ned?
I did watch that start away. Nice port tap from her.
Thank you.
Went pretty well.
Yeah.
I seem to remember power play doing that, but actually flying a hull over somebody.
I think actually, Louis, we ended up having to dip someone last minute, so we had a nice. Lloyd did a special and flew the rudder over someone's backstay. It was a great photo of somebody looking up from a 40.7 or whatever it was. It's good.
Yeah. So Ned, you're not in Antigua for the first. When was the last time you missed one of these?
There's been I've done a few. 6 or 7 now. So yeah.
So why aren't you here?
The night of a sailor and the consequences 9 months later.
So come on, tell everybody who's watching because they don't know the full news.
I have a little 2-day-old daughter sat fast asleep on my lap, who is very chilled during the daytime and a full raver at night, as they all are. Not giving us much sleep at the moment, but yeah.
Oh, brilliant. So Ceci, I believe her name is?
Say again, Louis. Sorry.
What's your daughter's name?
Her name is Cece.
Cece, and I believe she was born on race start day. Is that correct?
She was, yeah. I made sure I live streamed from the room where it all happened, much to Claire's dismay.
But Ned, thanks very much for popping in, and we'll see you here next year, we hope.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, Ned.
Brilliant.
I'll speak to you.
Thanks to Brian. Congratulations again.
Thank you, Ned, and congratulations to you.
Thanks very much.
See you soon. Bye.
So, Ned.
Cheers. Bye.
Oh, that was good. Well, it was a very good thing he didn't come and do the race because he would have missed
interesting
a big occasion.
Yeah. I'll just get. Oh, that works fine there.
Yeah.
We've got some bags in the background, but that'll do. So back to the records finish, and it will be the finish of the show as well. So let's go with Thomas first. Question that Stuart Lawrence wanted to ask you was about strategy, the frustration of having a boat ahead of you. you know, that you're trying to get by. Just tell us how you're feeling on board after all those miles. They're still in front of you. What did it feel like?
We discovered after Redonda that they were not finally they stopped in the light patch after Redonda, so they were not too far. But we knew that they probably their plan was to match us what they have done. So we are not clearly faster, so it was difficult to do a big difference. Maybe at this stage we were hoping for one more raining cloud to try something, but nothing. So the wind didn't move. We had not much to do, so no big tactic on this last bit for us.
Okay, and loose cover from the front, but it's night.
Yes.
It's difficult to see the boat behind.
Yes.
Just talk us through, and people want to learn how you lose cover from the front and what you've got to watch out for, Brian.
Yeah. Well, round Redonda, as we came into Redonda in lots of wind, as we were just chatting about, and coming out in very light wind, we actually tacked to quite soon to get upwind of ZOULOU, and it was just so light and choppy that we were making very little progress and quite bad angles. And it wasn't really till ZOULOU came around the mark that the wind filled in. So we just managed to get in front of them at this point, and about 1.5 miles ahead, I think, 1.3, something like that.
That's not much, is it?
No, it wasn't too much. So we were very level.
What they did last year to Maserati.
Yeah, yeah. And it was quite a few clouds around, clouds to the left, clouds to the right. But as we went up the beat, the clouds dissipated, which was fortunate for us. Because as Thomas said, if there's another cloud, then you could be just a few hundred meters away and get a different wind and just make the other boat tack a lot at the wrong time. But fortunately the wind settled in, and then I think we tacked onto, you guys tacked onto starboard, onto port, and we waited a little while and tacked right upwind of you, and then you were more headed than us. And we just stayed on top until the final lay. I think you were going right to the ley line, and eventually we just had to tack first for the close ley line.
But I mean, it's a crazy situation for me, because if you are covering from the front, you don't want them to be a mile behind. You want them to be like 400 meters behind, don't you?
Well, that
then they've got the same breeze as you.
Yeah,
for sure.
But as it wasn't, it turned out not to be that tricky breeze-wise. Then we were happier to be a couple of miles ahead, and that was quite a good leg for us, I think.
Okay.
Boat was going well.
Yeah. Brian, anything you want to add?
Well, it was a pleasure to sail with and against Thomas again, to socialise on the shore, and I've really enjoyed this Caribbean 600. It was pretty flat seas, a good moon, really exciting competition. So this was great. My 8th Caribbean 600.
And it's a big year for the RORC next year, 2025. We've got the RORC Transatlantic Race, the first of the centenary races. We've got obviously the Caribbean 600, and then we've got a transatlantic race back with the New York Yacht Club as well in June. It'd be great to see.
And the Fastnet.
And the Fast. How can I forget the Fastnet?
Yeah.
Yeah, in July. Yeah. But the same to you, Thomas. Anything you'd like to add?
No, it was only my second Caribbean, but it was a very nice one. It's definitely one of the best regatta I have sailed. The conditions are crazy. It's perfect. Temperature, sea state, and the wind was perfect. It's nice. It was a beautiful race.
Nice to hear an America's Cup set. Let's say that, isn't it?
Oh, it's very nice. I think everybody enjoyed it.
Brilliant. All right. Well, I'm going to play a little movie going out. Unless you want to.
No. See you next year.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of boats still to come in. Hopefully, we'll see some of you at the prize giving. So look at the time over
Yes.
this is there. It's exactly 30 seconds. Well done. Well done, team.
Thanks, Louis.